They have a fantastic player in McCaffrey. I mean, it all runs through him. I say this, as long as they got the runner, they got a shot. Because the runner, boy, I tell you what, he wears the S on his chest because he is magnificent.
To take a look at what's going on now, Herm, I know this would be an overstatement, but in your mind, how much of a miracle would it be if the 49ers were able to go on some sort of a playoff run with everything they're dealing with?
Well, first of all, Coach Shanahan's got to be in the mix of being Coach of the Year. This football team had great resilience when it started off the season. There were so many guys beat up, and obviously for them to win 12 games in the best conference in the NFL, the NFC West, with Seattle sitting there and the Rams. I mean, you got two teams with 12 wins. You got one team with 14 wins, and it is not even close to what the best division is. And with that being said, for these guys to be sitting in this position says a lot about their players, their coaches, and just what they've accomplished. And look, this is the playoffs, and this is a team that has a lot of playoff experience, like the Eagles. They have a fantastic player in McCaffrey. I mean, it all runs through him at the end of the day. Guy's got, over 1,200 yards rushing, 10 touchdowns. He has another almost 1,000 yards catching passes. So he is the guy that makes it all go for San Francisco. The thing that San Francisco doesn't have right now, and it could come back and bite them, when they rush four guys, they don't hit the quarterback. They got 20 sacks. And this is a league where you got to disrupt the quarterback. Coach Saleh does a great job of calling defenses, but he knows the only way you get these quarterbacks off their spot is you got to hit them. You got to threaten them in the pocket. So they got to find a way to rush the quarterback a little bit better.
And they do play bend but don't break, but then Philly gets in the red zone, and they're the best red zone offense in football. When you look at the two wide receivers for Philadelphia and a non-existent pass rush for the Niners, how much pressure does that put on Diamond Lenore and the other corners for San Francisco?
Lots. And they've got, A.J. Brown's a big physical guy, and you mentioned him. He's got 1,000 yards and receptions, 78 catches, and he's another one. He doesn't get enough passes. I get all that, but that's another story. Smith, obviously, another 1,000-yard receiver with 4 touchdowns. And then you got to deal with the runner. Barkley, he's a 1,000-yard guy as well. And then a lot of people lose sight of this guy, Goedert. And Goedert leads them all in touchdowns. He has 11 touchdowns.
Herm, I want to play something for you that you said to us last September. There was some excitement because Ricky Pearsall, who you know very well, you coached, he was having a great start to the season. But I want to play this for you. This is from September 18th last year. Take a listen to what you said.
It doesn't surprise me. I mean, he's a workaholic, and I told John and him that. I said, hey, you got to protect Ricky from Ricky. I said, because he's full speed every day in practice. He just loves to compete. And you got to protect him from himself because he has that mentality of how he plays and how he practices. I mean, he practices like it's a game. He's that kind of kid, and you love the success of all those guys. The guys that I had over at Arizona State.
Okay, and so now looking at the season that we've had and the story that Ricky has given everybody over the last 2 years, that sort of hits different because he does look so good, but dang it, he is having the hardest time staying on the field, Coach.
Yeah, that has always been an issue for Ricky. He's going to be nicked up a little bit. He's going to miss some time, and with Ayuk being out, and that's a whole different story there. That thing was going. I don't know where that thing went, but all of a sudden you lose 2 of your guys, and to San Francisco's credit, they just keep finding ways to win games. I mean, they just do, and they're remarkable. They really are. I say this: as long as they got the runner, they got a shot. Because the runner, boy, I tell you what, he wears the S on his chest because he is magnificent football player now. And so, yeah, and Rick, you feel bad for him because he's one of those guys that he has one speed and it's full speed. And when he's on the field, he's an excellent football player. But I always say this, in football and in life, you got to be available. Availability is critical.
Hey, there's been a lot of talk, as there always is in a matchup like this, about sort of the coaches and the quarterback. And so there's this thing about Sirianni and Hurts and then Shanahan and Purdy. Brian Baldinger was on in Philly and said, no doubt about it, he would take Sirianni and Hurts as a combo over Shanahan and Purdy. What's your response to that?
Well, here he is. He's a former Eagle. He got to say that, I guess. I'm a former Eagle too, so I get it. Look, I think Coach Shanahan has done a fabulous job this year. I've already said when I first came on the show, he is in the running for Coach of the Year. What he's done with this football team, and on the other side of it, in Philly, that coach don't get enough credit for what he's done. Philly's hard, boy. They were beating him up earlier in the season. They were throwing bricks at the poor guy. And what he's been able to do with this football team, he's got them back in the playoffs. I mean, they won a Super Bowl. I mean, look, gosh, both have done excellent jobs. But I just think Coach Shanahan is remarkable. Him and the players and the coaching staff, what they've accomplished to win 12 games after all these guys were beat up early this season, that's a mark of good coaching and players buying in.
And Philly's 11-6, which is nothing to sneeze at, but it seems like offensively they took a little bit of a step back. What have you seen on the tape from Philly that made their offense a little bit more muted than last year, Coach?
Well, look, it's real simple, and I don't know. I lived back east, obviously, for a long time in Philly, and back east they call these things. They call them potholes. You're riding on the freeway and you hit a pothole. It's boop, boop. That's their offense. It's a pothole offense. It runs smooth for a little while, and then all of a sudden it disappears. It just flat disappears. It can disappear for a whole quarter, and you just can't figure it out. You say, what's wrong? What just happened here? And I don't know if a lot of it has to do with the sense of they have so many skilled players, how you get them all the ball. How do you distribute the football, right? How do you get it to all these guys? I think they struggle with that sometimes, and that's why this thing goes 3 plays. Look, last week's second half, they didn't score. They didn't move the ball.
Yep.
It's like, really? Now, their defense is playing really good. Their defense is playing well. I mean, they have done a nice job here of the last month of football. So credit to them. I mean, that has really, helped them a lot because they got a big front that can rush you, and they're a good football team. Now, they got a weakness at one of the corners. We know that, and Coach Shanahan probably sees it on tape. And he's going to try to probably go at it when he has to, so it'll be interesting how the chess master works.
Yeah, I mean, even listening to you, it's sort of like the Niners' strength will go against the Eagles' strength, and the Eagles' weakness will go against the Niners' weakness. Like, what do you see as kind of the deciding matchup in this one?
Anytime you get in the playoffs, teams that get in the playoffs earn their spot there. They're tested. And both these teams are perennial playoff teams. Look, these organizations have won Super Bowls, and obviously 49ers have won more than the Eagles. But that being said, I mean, these players understand the gravity of the game because they've been in these games. So it's not like if you're the Carolina Panthers, right? They're going into the playoffs. The last time they went there was 2015. So it's going to be entirely new to these guys. These two organizations have been in big games. They understand it. And it all comes down to this. For me, when you're playing games like this, and I can remember it as a player, don't beat yourself. Just don't do it. Just don't beat yourself. Don't get out of your comfort zone as a player. Don't try to do things you're incapable of doing when you get in the playoffs. Hopefully these guys don't do that either side of the football, and just play the game out. Because you're playing against a tough team. Both teams are tough. You just got to, when you have an opportunity to make the play, you got to make it. Because this is the playoffs. The loser of this is like all the rest of those teams that are at home watching. This is a funny league. Seven new division winners, right? So as soon as you think, well, we'll go back next year, not so fast, guys. That's the National Football League. So I think both these opponents know what's at stake. They're very good on both sides of the ball when they play. And I've always said this, when it's your turn to make a play as a player, you got to make the play.
Yeah, and that ultimately is what a lot of these games come down to. And the play could be made easier if they got Big 71 out there, the left tackle, Trent Williams. You've watched a lot of football, Herm. Where would you put him among the greats that you played against, with, and the guys you've seen subsequently?
Oh, he's right there. He's a big man with great balance and great bend. He's long. He has a presence about himself. You feel very comfortable when you're the quarterback. You don't worry about that backside. You go, he got it. well, I'm good. And that's what you want. You want the quarterback when he drives, because that's the side that gets you. On the blind side, it's like, oh, where's he coming? Especially right-hand quarterback. He ain't coming. I ain't got to worry about it. That guy can block out the sun when he's going. He's a big old athlete, and that's what you want. That's the prototypical. That's what an athletic tackle should look like.
Herm, as a player or a coach, can you speak to what happens to a team when they lose? And I mean, everybody has injuries, but I mean like foundational pieces of what you do and what that does to a football team.
Well, you can let it affect you if you allow it. If you make excuses for it. What you have to do, and San Francisco has done this, they have slightly adjusted their plan at times, offensively and defensively. This is what we do now. We got to do this a little bit different, right? We might have to slide a little more to the left side to tackle. And if you're Salah and you're going, hey, look, there are going to be certain situations where I'm going to have to bring more than 4 guys, and I know that, and I don't want to hang these guys out of here, but they got to know I got to bring pressure this time. So there's ways you can combat it. But you don't go from one extreme to another, because if you start doing that, then the players say, Coach, why are we panicking? Right? You don't want the players to think the coach is panicking, because then you got a problem.